listening to the Liquid Shape Podcast with your host, Cody Perez.
Welcome to the Liquid Shape Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Cody Perez.
And Mariah Longfellow.
And we are doing the podcast a little bit earlier this week than we normally do. It is Wednesday night, and I'm getting ready to hit the road because American Overdose will be playing with Drowning Pool this Saturday, the 28th of March in Reno, Nevada at Inferno Fest. So,
Yes.
Inferno fucking Fest, man. I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited.
We don't play that often, and when we do, it's always a big time fucking celebration and a party and a great fucking time because we're not a band that oversaturates. We play big shows, and we like to space them out between fucking playing shows, so
Word.
unless we're on tour. But it's going to be fun. Guys are going to be out and about, getting into trouble. I feel bad for the van, too. I feel bad for the hotels. I feel bad for anyone that has to put up with us on the road because no one is literally safe. When we're out on the road, you know what happens usually is that anywhere we go, whether it's a gas station, a hotel, a venue, a restaurant, anywhere we go, everyone sees the shit show and they're in on the pranks usually. Like they're getting picked on, they're getting trolled, they're getting whatever. Because we're not on our normal everyday job. So we're in full on goddamn rock star character mode. So
I love it.
we're just being total jackasses. You think our group chat that you hear sometimes that we talk shit about each other is
boy.
bad? That's nothing compared to when we
Brother.
Oh, brother. It's a lot worse when we're out on the road with each other. So it's going to be chaos. So yeah, here we are doing this earlier than we normally would. How's your week so far?
I mean, it's fine. Normal stuff. Not as exciting as yours.
You're not excited that you're going to have the boys to yourself and the house to yourself for the weekend?
I'm excited because I'm going to plant some zinnias in my wine barrel. Get those planted from seed so they'll start growing soon.
That is exciting. And by the way, we have the boys here. What's happening from Taz and Lorenzo, and they're licking each other and breathing all heavy like they normally do. So if you hear that, it's the boys being rambunctious. Taz is excited. He's always excited to be on the podcast.
If you haven't seen, they got their summer cuts, so they are the official Blockhead brothers now.
Oh, yes. Yes, they got their summer cuts, and they look adorable as fuck. I love it. We'll have to post more pictures up. We need to show the pictures before and after. You've been slacking.
I'm sorry. You've been home with them.
Well, I don't have the before pictures. You do.
Yeah, but you could still take a picture and send it to me. Or I could send you the before.
Well, it's not going to happen.
Anyways,
so this week's guest that we have is my buddy Rick Horseman. And Rick is a killer musician who I got to meet the last time we were out on tour. We played a venue out in Illinois, and him and his dad came out, and we found out that they're going to be there. So we had never actually met. So we brought him backstage at the Forge and took pictures of them, hung out, got to BS, got to finally meet in person and all that. And Rick's been a huge supporter of American Overdose for many years. So it was awesome to get to meet him and meet his dad. So I'm very happy that we have him as a guest on the podcast. So on segment 2, make sure you tune in because you will get to know Rick and hear his story. And to me, it's inspiring and I love it and good dude. So with that said, we'll move on to the question of the week. So this week's question of the week was, is passion enough or does discipline matter more? Passion can get you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. But which one actually makes the difference? Have you ever lost passion but kept going anyway? What's helped you stay consistent when motivation disappeared? Can you succeed without loving what you do? Is discipline something you've had to learn? Do you think passion can be built through discipline? So one of those questions that gets you thinking. And I got a lot of great responses. So that means that people were digging it and they had their opinions. And I love opinionated people. I don't care if I agree with them. I don't care if we do agree. I don't care if we're kind of in the middle. I just love it when someone gives me a good explanation on their thoughts and they stand behind them and they're consistent with their thoughts. That's what I care about. Agreeing with me or disagreeing with me, whatever the case may be, just be able to back up your thoughts, make sure that they're your own and that you truly believe them and you're not just saying it because to be cool or to fucking, I don't know, people do stupid shit for dumb reasons. But so first response is going to be from our buddy John Wold. So
John,
we got some reading here. So John says, you have to have both passion and discipline working hand in hand or it simply won't work. But if I had to pick one, which one actually makes the difference, it's discipline. I've lost passion plenty of times and kept going anyway. That's exactly what we call a job. We show up and do the work because we have to earn an income. Unless you have another way to generate money, most of us don't have much of a choice but to continue, even when we've mentally checked out and feel completely uninterested or are unhappy with what we're doing. It's still a necessity. In addition to that, a lot of people lose passion in their relationships too. They'll stay even when the spark is gone and they've fallen out of love, whether because of their financial situation, kids together, or whatever the reason. They feel trapped and refuse to exit what's become a dead relationship. That's for sure. I can 100% agree with that. What's helped me stay consistent when motivation completely disappeared is the same practical reality. Making sure I can keep a roof over my head, food on the table, gas in the car, and the bills paid. Can you succeed without loving what you do? It depends entirely on your definition of success. If success means being able to keep a roof over your head, food on the table, and gas in the car, then yes, absolutely. But if success means doing what you love and feeling passionate about it every day, then no, you're really just existing. I also agree with that. Discipline is one of the hardest parts of anything. It means you have to do it regardless of how you feel, whether you're sick, tired, or dealing with depression. Discipline is what allows you to keep pushing forward and get the goal achieved no matter what. I think Andrew Tate has some really strong motivational videos on this topic and what discipline truly means for hyper competitive and highly successful people in the world, regardless of how you feel about him personally. And yes, I do believe passion can be built through discipline. Sometimes you're put in a position where you have to do something new or different that you're not passionate about at all. But through the discipline of repetition, you can start to enjoy it far more than you ever thought you would. Whether it's at work or you're working on your own home because you don't want to pay someone else's car else or can't afford to, that consistent effort can turn the activity into something you genuinely enjoy, and sometimes even into a real passion project. I think it's very important that people dig deep within themselves and discover what they're actually passionate about. Most people end up numbing themselves just to get through the daily grind. Drinking, smoking, getting high, playing video games, going to the bar, or sitting in front of the TV as a constant distraction. Because of that, a lot of them never discover what they truly love. They get trapped in those distractions and never get to find out what they're really capable of or what could actually make them happy. That is also very true. Agree with that. That's a battle, unfortunately, that many people get into and they don't even realize they're in that. That's one thing that's super cool about watching what Cody does. He's able to express himself through his music, and now he has his podcast as another outlet. It's really cool because it lets him get some of his thoughts out there and get feedback from other people. I don't know how much time you put into planning or creating this podcast ahead of time, but I can see how this could easily turn into another passion project alongside your music. That's awesome. Good job. Thank you, John. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of time that goes into this. Mariah can definitely support that. Or because I'm constantly having to either take time out of my day to find people or interact with people, schedule times to meet and do the interviews. And then a lot of the times, sometimes people will be like, well, I can't do it after all. Even I prepared for this and everything. And then within an hour, they're like, oh, I can't do it because X, Y, Z, let's reschedule. By that point, I'll be honest with you, I might not reschedule. I get annoyed when someone cancels after we've planned on it and we've prepared for it and everything. I probably don't want to get you back on here. It's probably going to take a lot for me to get you on here. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm just saying it's very unlikely to happen just because it's very annoying. I don't like to deal with flaky people. And unfortunately, with music, I've dealt with that all of my life. I've dealt with flaky people with projects and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't have time for that anymore. Maybe when I was younger, I had the time, but nowadays I don't. So that's time consuming. It takes me away from being able to do band stuff, takes me away from being able to being home, present with the girlfriend when she's off work and whatnot to do interviews. Sometimes I'll do up to 3 or 4 a week, and that can be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the person and how much we talk. And then editing is a bitch. And then we have to schedule time between us to do our segment that we're doing so that we have more content, and then come up with questions. Sometimes I use AI to help me come up with questions or elaborate my questions better. And then editing the clips. Those clips take forever. Aside from editing the shows themselves, and then coordinating with people back and forth, what pictures to post, how to describe the show, how to describe they want to be portrayed. There's a lot that goes into the podcast for sure. So, and then you have to edit the actual final work after you do the editing of each segment. Then I have to put them together and all that stuff. So it does take some time, but there's passion behind it. I do love it. I do love that it's something very different than I've done in the past, and it's something new that I'm still learning. And I'm not at a point where I'm annoyed of it. If I become to a point where I'm annoyed of it and it's not something I want to do, I'll probably just pull the plug at that point and say, all right, let's take a break. And then maybe I'll miss it. Maybe I won't. But thanks, John. Appreciate it. Agreed with everything you said there, man. Like I can say for sure that with relationships, there's a lot of people, including myself, that have been trapped in those situations where you've lost the passion, but you're disciplined because for one reason or another, you feel like you have to stick to that person. Maybe you don't want to hurt them. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you're married. Your financial situation's going to be all sorts of screwed up. Maybe you're afraid of change. Maybe you're afraid of the unknown. I think we've talked about that before in the podcast where the unknown is scary, but it's also very exciting. There's lots of reasons why people do that. And you know, there's I think eventually if something's going to fall apart, it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just best to rip off the Band-Aid. But yeah, once you lose the passion for something, I feel like it does take, it's kind of like when you have two different types of fuels. Like there's the passion side and then there's the discipline side. And so when one's not working, hopefully the other one will keep the motor going and keep the movement going. And then hopefully eventually, you know, as it's moving, you'll get that discipline or you get that passion back. And then when that other one runs low, you know, you rely on the other one and
Yep.
hand in hand, like you said. So what are your thoughts?
No, I
on everything
agree.
you said?
I mean, it's easy to get stuck in something and then you kind of just lose the passion, but the unknown is scary and, you know, but staying can be even scarier.
Yeah. So it sounds like you don't have the passion for this right now,
No, but I'm excited to be here.
but you're disciplined.
Yes.
I like it. So that fits with that. So thank you, John.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
John.
it for everything you said here. And I think that you made a lot of great points here. So thank you for sharing. All right. So we will go on to the comments from Facebook.
The face of the book.
Right. Let's see here. First one is from my buddy Mike Strong. Mike's a badass. I have a story about Mike. He showed up at one of our shows some years ago when we were on tour. I believe it was in Iowa. And he brought me a care package. He knew that my voice was all fucked up from being on tour. And he brought me like honey and tea and like this whole bag of things to try to get better and whatnot.
Oh,
Shout out to Mike for that, man. And he didn't have to do that. He didn't know who the hell I was. He just knew me from online. So shout out to Mike. And go check out Mike on Facebook because he's got his own barbecue sauces and jalapeno sauces and whatnot. And spices. I got a lot of friends that do that actually that do have businesses like that, which is cool. I love seeing that. So Mike says, I think the two go hand in hand. Without passion, whatever you're doing is hollow and feels fake. But without discipline, even the most passionate project/business has no real drive to do the real work that needs done. You can't have one without the other. I do believe that you can lose one and regain it through the other one. Exactly what I said. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I've experienced this with my own business. Passion is never ever been an issue, but on those long days, those hard days, the days when the money is just not there, but the bills are still piling up, it's really hard to keep discipline. That's when passion saves you. Same thing goes for passion. When you hit that point where you say, does it even really matter? Discipline can pull you out of that mindset. So in my opinion, you can't have one without the other because both are destined to fail without each other.
Yeah. I think, I 100% agree with that. And just, I mean, whether it's relationships, I mean, think of it like working out too. It's either you kind of start off, I feel like a lot of times like with a passion and that passion kind of dwindles and then it just takes your discipline to keep getting you through it. Like say you're running or whatever.
Yeah, I would say for sure. Like he just flat out said what I said earlier too, like a second ago, where hopefully that when one of them is not there, the other one will keep you going so that you build back that other one that was not there to begin with and vice versa. And it's good to have, to keep that in your mind sometimes. Like I think like there's not one that, to me, in my opinion, there's not one that's more important than the other. I think both of them are needed. So I agree with you, Mike.
Because the passion can definitely dwindle. So you got to have that discipline.
Yeah, the passion comes and goes, man. It does that with music. It does that with everything. I mean, I think I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, and I was telling you too, I always tell you, like, I would love to one day just pull the plug and stop being on social media. I'm so sick and tired of seeing everything I see. I'm tired of being on there. I'm tired of constantly feeling like I have to post and just stay in the graces of the algorithm. And just, it's like, I I wake up sometimes, I'm just like, why? Why do I even bother? Why do I keep doing this? I do this for multiple reasons, not just one, not one reason. And I think that kind of feels like gets my passion going again. And then I have to kick on the discipline mode for sure and be like, all right, well, in order for me to get where I want to be, I need to push myself even on the days that I don't want to. And then I think in my head, like, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Why do I do this? And then that just recharges my battery to keep it going.
It's like work. It's not, I don't have a passion for HR anymore, but then I see the smiley faces on my puppies and I get to pay for their life. It makes me want to go.
Yeah, I always tell people that about my job. Like, I love what I do. I mean, do I have passion for it? No, but I love my job. I love the people I work with. I love my freedoms that I get with my job, and my manager's really awesome and shit like that. So, like, I love what I do, but there's days that I obviously don't want to go in there. But and then I think, like, hey, you know what? I had it a lot worse before.
Yeah.
This is not bad at all. I have no reason to be bitching. And not only that, but this is paying for me to be able to do the things I like to do, which is like the podcast, the band, my family life here with the dogs and you and us traveling and all that kind of shit. So it's what keeps it going. Next one is from Cheyenne Jones. Shout out to Cheyenne. She says, discipline all day. Passion is great, but can turn into chaos real quick if you don't have intentions, goals, and routines set in place. Agreed. Well, especially since, like, nowadays, I feel like everyone now has multiple things they want to do. Like, sometimes you might wake up and you want to be an artist. The next day you might wake up, you want to be a dancer. The next day you might wake up and you're like, you know what? I want to be an accountant. Bad example, but whatever. Maybe I want to be a podcaster, maybe whatever. I think that with all the things that are in our face and how easy it is now for us to be able to do the things that maybe weren't so easy to do back in the day, it's real simple to lose your passion real quick and then have a passion for something else, quote unquote. So, Cheyenne, I 100% agree with you on that. That's definitely very, very, very important. Steve Helmer says, passion is good. Discipline is good. Persistence is great. Keep going because slow and steady wins the race. Agreed with you, sir. I think I did say that. I did ask him. I said, agreed. Would you say persistence is driven by passion or discipline, or could be driven by either or both? And then he says, I started playing guitar when I was 5 years old. I will be 60 in April. 55 years I've played the instrument. It's called playing guitar because it's supposed to be fun. I still play guitar 4 hours a day because it's still fun.
Wow.
It's definitely passion.
I love that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, persistence obviously is very important. And without persistence, you'll fall. You're not going to get better. You're not going to improve. Yeah. So, look who responded. My buddy, David Ritter. Ritter's an old coworker of mine and good friend. We've had some crazy times. And Mariah got to meet him. What was it, last summer? Last summer for the first time?
Yeah. I think last summer, right?
Yeah. Five Finger Death Punch show. So you got to meet Dave, and David's a good guy.
He is.
Well, we'll have to get together soon. David says, you either have or don't have passion. Discipline can be learned and perfected. Agreed. Yeah. It helps if the two meet in the middle, but often they don't. I think creativity needs passion and making a living needs discipline. Wouldn't it be nice if you got to use both for the same thing? Yes. David's always been very knowledgeable and full of wisdom.
Knowledge.
He was like, when me and him were working together, he was one of the people I would always go to for help. And he would talk me off the ledge with a lot of crazy shit. Not even just with work, but like personal life stuff too. So I've always appreciated David's wisdom. But yeah, I agree 100% here because, like he says, for creativity, you have to have passion, not like the discipline to actually make it happen and whatnot. But if you have passion, some of your best stuff is going to come out. It's gonna show. Mm-hmm. People can fake. They can fake a lot of things. I don't think you can fake like real passion and like. And even in music, when people hear something, they can tell when something's forced or and fake. Definitely 100% agreed on all that. Yeah. Oh, some of my artists, I won't name names, but some of the bands I like have done that. All right. Next one is from Brian Satterfield. Shout out to Brian. I used to participate in false motivation in a bag. I got to a place when the substance was starting to be more important than the task, and I wanted to get done while using it. So 15 years ago, I quit and found a new passion and motivation to perform using discipline. I learned in my life to go back to school where I learned to be a drug and alcohol counselor. Hell yeah. Turned it around and made it something positive, Brian. I love that.
I love success stories. Good
Yes,
job.
that's
That's amazing.
That's great. I love that. That's kind of what has driven this podcast, actually, was exactly what Brian's talking about here. It's like I did so much destruction into my own life, and the people that were around me, I would say, or that had to put up with me, or that came in and out of my life, friends, relationships, family, whatever, band members. And so I think with this podcast, what my hope and my goal is that it's going to help people. And if my podcast, long after I'm gone, someone hears something that someone either participated in, like in these questions of the week, or a guest says something that inspires them or whatnot, I feel like it was worth the shit that I've gone through and the darkness and all that. It's worth it if I'm helping somebody. It's my goal. I have a purpose here in life, and I feel like that's one of my purposes, is that to give back and hopefully help others. And so I'm hoping that this podcast does that.
I hope so too. I mean, I think both of us have wild experiences that hopefully other people can relate to and or take advice from.
I'll let you read the next one since I've been reading and hogging. And this
Yeah.
one's from our friend Stephanie Ty. Shout out.
And she says, for me personally, passion, follow through, consistency, and most of all, the belief in yourself, which has taken me years of experience and tons of ego deaths. I feel you on that one.
Oh,
Ego
no, for sure.
deaths are, yeah. Plenty of time I have lost passion, but then I tell myself, first, this is probably a time to balance and to remember and relearn patience or other parts of myself. Second, when you feel like giving up, remember why you started. You cannot always depend on others to encourage, push, or even like your work. You are the person yourself needs during those times. I cannot personally succeed if I do not have passion. I tried that for years, working at a bank, making money, but dying every day because as humans, we are not meant to work, eat shit, and sleep. We need more in our life. Discipline is something I constantly work on. Also balance. Passion can be built through discipline because when you have an interest, say art or music, you commit to that art every day or every moment of extra time you have. That is building passion. Passion is the art, or passion in the art is like a muscle and needs to be exercised. Ooh, that's good.
Oh, I love that. That's a quote
You
right
are
there.
I think that's, very, very on point.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. And sometimes if you are working somewhere where you're just like, this is not getting me anywhere that I want to be. And money, I've said this before many times, money comes and goes, man. I've had money. I've had where I think I've shared about like where I would be able to put thousands of dollars in my savings account at one point just because I had so much extra income. And it didn't make me any happier. I was partying, I was raging, and I was just being a complete lunatic. And I was very unhappy with my job. Very, very, very unhappy with my situation that I was in at that time. And so you doing a job just because it pays you, that it can be soul sucking. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's better to have a job that, you know what, it doesn't stress you out. You're still able to get your bills paid, but in the long run, you're still able to do your passion, your job. Like you're take out your creativity, whether you're a musician, an artist, an actor, model, whatever. If that job is able to fund that and keep that going and it doesn't stress you out and doesn't add to any of your problems, then that's cool. That always works. And that's
Or when
all
you're
about.
in a job that sucks the soul out of you, you learn just to coast, like not let it be that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's a mindset
Mhm.
with jobs like that. And people always ask me, like, how the hell did you do it to be at a call center for 14 years? And I mean, I have a lot of patience. Obviously, I was drinking and partying a lot, like crazy, and it was driving me nuts. But what I would tell myself when I'd wake up, because I'd always go to work, I was very disciplined and hardworking, is that this funds what I like to do in my life and what I need to do to keep the band going and my outside of work hobbies going. So that's what I would tell myself. So it's a mindset that you have to put yourself into. It's just, it's a matter of how much are you willing to put yourself into something like that and allow something to control you. Luckily, I got out.
Just a puppet.
Yes.
All right. The next one is from Tyler Sebastian King. He says, passion is great, but it's like motivation. If you rely on it solely, you will certainly fail. I think a healthy mix of passion and discipline is necessary. So a lot of what
Agreed, Tyler.
we're saying for sure.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. You can't, I think you have to have both. I mean, they're both hand in hand, like everyone has said here.
Mm-hmm. Our next one is from our friend Kiris Emberborn. They say, passion is the burning desire, borderline on obsession for a thing that can push someone into pursuing whatever that thing may be. Without discipline, a person will likely give up when it gets tough. Discipline without passion will take you further, but without passion driving that train, discipline can lack focus. I agree with Mike, they go hand in hand. For me, passion to perform and entertain are a core of my being. Growing stagnant, I reached a wall I couldn't overcome, and it facilitated the awareness that discipline was necessary skill I needed to practice. In that interim, however, I allowed my fire to burn down to embers, but never stopped slowly and stubbornly shuffling my feet towards my goal. The deep down desire of wanting to be like my heroes is the only thing that kept that slow and inconsistent pace to move forward. I believe a person can find success without loving what they do, but it will lack true soul nourishment, for sure. I don't know if passion can be developed through discipline, as I've always known passion. I believe all things are possible, though, and would love to meet someone who has done so. That would be a curious conversation. Anyway, while I believe that these two things can equal success separately or combined, I believe it's lacking a thing that is hidden third leg of this tripod that leads to greatness. Faith. You have to believe that you are a badass and that you will succeed and overcome any obstacle. Absolutely. Like I always say, you got to speak great things about yourself and trust in yourself.
Confidence, man.
Confidence.
Confidence is sexy. It's attractive. It's like
I always say, if you don't love yourself and have confidence in yourself, nobody else is going to. Yeah. And also fuck what everybody else thinks. So love yourself. Each of the three will support and reinforce the others when they waver. With a George Michael booty shake and a Fred Durst scream, I say, you gotta have faith. I humbly request Cody that you give me a good fry scream for this part during the podcast. All right, you got to do it.
You gotta have faith. I've been screaming a lot lately, so getting ready for the show.
I'm gonna give you the last one.
All right, I get the last one. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that. That's
Yeah. I mean, every week, we have so many guests that are constant and they just always have the best advice, feedback, or thoughts. So it's so much fun to interact with you all.
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing from the same people, and I love it when we hear new people too. And it's this. Like I said, I hope it helps others. It helps me because I look at things differently too now. Like when people respond and say things that maybe I didn't consider, or I didn't look at it that way. I'm like, oh, that's a good way to look at it, and it makes me think.
Absolutely.
And so it helps shape my thinking as well.
And that's why I always think it's good to have people with, different thoughts, different perspectives around you versus just everybody thinking the same way.
Yeah.
How fucking boring. I want all sorts of perspectives, cultures, blah, 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 blah. Let's come together and just bring experiences together and we can learn from one another.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really boring if it was just the same thought process.
Yes.
That would be a fucked up, I don't know. It would be unoriginal. And
you agree? Okay.
So last one we have here, this one came from Neckbeard News. If the passion is strong enough, the discipline doesn't matter all that much, in my opinion. I remember when you sent us a friend request to follow your page. Sending Facebook requests to follow is something I do all the time, but I'm also not an established or touring musician with a huge following. Even though you and your bandmates are much more disciplined than us, you still send Facebook follow requests like I do, which says a lot to me about importance of passion over discipline. That is 100% true. Here's the thing, is that, like we were just saying a second ago, you have to believe in yourself. Otherwise, no one else is going to believe in you. Who's going to believe in you if you don't have that confidence? And if I see people that are working for something, I instantly want to check it out. I instantly want to, I want to learn more about it. When I see someone pushing something, I'm just like, all right, let's take a look. Like, this person's putting the work in. When someone does something and then just kind of expects it's either going to hit or not, they just throw it out there. At that point, I'm like, okay, well, if you don't really care to put the work into it, why do I care to go in there and check it out? There's no effort there. It may be great, it may be awesome, but if you're not putting in any work, no one else is going to do it. Yeah. And I think I've said this before. People are always like, well, why don't you hire people to do this or hire people to do that for you guys? You guys don't have to handle it. And we've done that. And we've done that, but we've had some great people that have done some awesome things for us. There's also been times where I'm just like, you know what? No one is going to do this with the passion that I have behind it and the passion that we have behind it. So it's best we keep it in house. It's best for us to push it. It's best for it to be coming from us because we're going to say it and give the message like we want it delivered. And people are going to sense that. People instantly know when it's coming from just like an outside source or it's coming directly from the band itself or a certain band member or whatnot, just by the way that they write certain things or the way they word things. So yeah, if you believe in something that you're doing and you're pushing for it and you're sharing it, and you're going to get more people behind that. And I love seeing passion in people. When someone's talking about something, I can instantly tell, like when they're sharing something about something they do, whether it be music or acting or modeling or painting or anything like that. I could hear it in their voice. I don't even have to see the person. I could hear it in their voice. I could feel in the energy they give. And I absolutely love that, because I hope that when I talk, people can sense the energy of things that I care about and that I'm passionate about. Because people have always said that about me. They're like, you're very opinionated and you're very passionate when you speak and this and that, or it comes off as aggressive or whatever. It's like, no. It's not that I'm coming off as an asshole or whatnot. It's because I do speak with passion. I speak with excitement. I speak with confidence. I speak with certainty. And I'm not, you're going to get full on Cody Perez, 100% authentic. You're not going to get a watered down version of me. That's just not going to happen. Even at work, man. Even at work, I may not have been able to cuss, but I've always been that guy that I don't have a problem pushing the buttons, raising the questions that everyone else is thinking, but everyone else is afraid to ask. I'm that person that, will speak up. I'm not afraid to speak up. I don't care if I'm the only person that thinks that way. I don't care if I'm looked at as the bad guy. I will do it. And so for me, passion, this is just for me answering now my portion. Passion and discipline are both needed because as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you run out of one of them or you lose it for a second. And so you need the other one to keep it going, because, so many times I've been in a situation where I'm just like, you know what, this didn't turn out like I wanted it to, especially with the band. And I'm like, why do I keep doing this? And I lose that passion and it sucks. I only lose it for a second, but I lose it. And then I have to force myself. I'm like, nope, you know what? You've done this before. And guess what happens? You end up coming back to it. You end up regretting it. You miss it. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to do it. And when I was partying really heavily between 2018 and 23, whatever, I lost the passion for music. I lost it for a long time because I was just putting the focus on, I just wanted to get things done so that I had a reason to go play shows, tour, record music, and play shows so I could party, so I could be around chicks, so I could fucking be a raging guy and crazy. And I lost the passion. I forgot completely why I was doing it. And then once I started sobering up and started seeing things differently and, changing and finding my purpose again and getting myself right, I got that passion back, and that passion made me even turn up the discipline more than it ever has been in the past before. Because I've always been a driven person. If you talk to anyone, even from my high school days, if I like something or I love something, I go full on for it, 100%, full throttle. You will never get a half-ass Cody for anything that I do. If I hate something, I absolutely hate it. If I love something, I absolutely love it, and I'll choke it to death with love or choke it to death with hate. So I'm a very all in, all out person. You're not going to get half-ass, and that's kind of what I expect of other people too. When they're passionate about something, or if I'm working with you, I need you all in or all out, or just don't be a part of it. So that's my answer for that question. Let's have you.
I mean, I'm pretty similar. I think you need both. I mean, especially if talking about myself personally, just because, I know I always talk about it, but because I have ADHD, my passion's only going to last so long before it's on to the next thing. So that's why I have to have discipline. I have to ensure that if this is my goal, okay, it's easy to be all excited in the beginning and have all the passion, like I'm going to put all this energy towards it, but that's going to fizzle. And so therefore I have to have that energy, the energy, the discipline, the 10 million alarm clocks, for all sorts of reminders just to keep myself on track, calendar reminders. I have to keep myself on track. Otherwise I'll just spin and it'll just be a disaster. It'll just be a chaotic disaster. What? Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a great question, I feel like. And I enjoyed it. I thought that was a great question and got some great responses. Engagement. You know what got a lot of engagement earlier this week was when I shared a post about a restaurant. I'll read the rest of the post. It was a post. I don't know if it was satire or what, but it basically said, "End of an era. Restaurant industry split in two over no tip movement. Owners warn of service decline." And then I think the post was saying, "Do you guys agree? No tips will cause service to downgrade or degrade."
I mean, it's already shitty, so why would I want to go there? Just close your fucking doors then. I shouldn't have to tip because you feel you're entitled to it. Like, obviously, I'm going to tip going out, but I just feel like tipping culture has just gotten a little insane. Insane. Especially like when you go through a drive-through and it's all like, you want to add a tip? I'm like,
For a drive-through?
for a fucking drive-through, you didn't come and serve me at a table. Like, of course I'm going to tip a server or a bartender, something like that that's actually putting effort. And not saying that they're not putting effort, like actual full service, not a fucking drive-through. But then that also goes back on the business. They should not be fully relying on tips. They should pay their fucking employees.
Take care of your employees, yeah. Take care of your people that are taking care of your business. Because here's the thing that I get heated about this, because this is coming from somebody that's worked in the industry. I have bartended. I bartended. I served tables. I helped manage a bar for a long time, and so I know how important tips are. And this isn't a knock on anybody that does that works in the service industry. I think people are needed for that. And but at the same time, your employer should be paying you enough. The tip is just that. It's a tip, and it should be a bonus extra if the customer decides. Now, I get pissed off when I see people that like say, well, if you can't afford a tip, you shouldn't be going out to eat. Motherfucker, if that person decides to say, you know what, I can't afford to go out to eat, but I don't want to go support that restaurant, guess what happens? Before you know it, you're not going to have a job, because it's the customers that go in there, regardless if they tip you or not. It's because they go in there and they're buying your product from your employer, that you have a job. If you had, let's say you had 100 customers come in through a day and none of them tipped you, guess what? They still supported that business, which is supporting you, and you have a job because they came in there. If that place was not busy, did not have customers, even the non-tipping ones, guarantee you would be gone. That business would probably not be around either. So be thankful that you have customers, regardless if they tip or not. If they're shitty to you, that's a whole different story. Because no one should take abuse from anybody. But I can't stand it when people say that shit, and it's like, I can afford a tip, but when you're expecting it and you're telling me a minimum, or you're adding it as a like, oh well, this is, it's already included in your price for paying. 'Cause there's restaurants that do that now too, and that's fucked up to me. It's like, just like, you should be paying your employees, not the customers having to take care of them and relying on them for that.
And then also, if you're expecting a tip, I better be getting fucking service with a smile.
Yeah.
None of this fucking half-ass, never coming back over, checking in on you once. Like, no, go fuck yourself.
Fucking around on your phone.
I ain't
you can
giving
see
you a
them.
fucking tip in that case. I'm gonna treat it like fast food. Like, you weren't here. Like, we needed things, you weren't there. Food was cold, or
food was fucked up. Many times they don't even listen.
Oh,
like, that's the fucked up thing.
They always fuck up your food.
They always. So my food always gets fucked up, and my people always say that they're like, so what exactly do you order? Do you order all crazy? And I'm like, no, I literally, okay. So if I'm ordering something that has beans in it, I'll say no beans, please, no beans. That's all I say. I don't go like tricking them, trying to say anything fancier or smart ass. I'm always really nice. I'm very clear. I'm like, no beans, please. And that's all. If it's something that has like mayonnaise, like a sandwich or a burger, I just say no mayonnaise. It's that simple. It's those two things that I mostly only ever ask not to put on there. And they always put it on there. Always, always, always. So what happens is they either will come back like, and they'll try to give me the plate back again, like they just wiped it off of it. And I'm like, no, it was already on there. I can still taste it. I don't want it on there. Like, you have to make me a fresh new patty.
You really need to just start telling them you're allergic.
Yeah, I've done that, and unfortunately, it's caused some problems for.
But it's causing problems anyway.
It does.
Gets you pissed off, and then it ruins the mood.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's like, you got to listen when your customer is ordering something. Make sure you pay attention. And make sure that when you go back there, you are very clear with the cook, or if you're putting it on there, wherever you put the order for them. And then when you go pick up that food, check and see if it's correct. If it's not correct, don't even bother bringing it out to the customer. Nothing's going to piss me off more than when you bring it out and you're like, oh, I didn't know that they fucked it up, and I didn't know blah, blah, blah. Like, and don't argue with your customer. If your customer told you not to put something on there, don't argue with them. That's the most fucked up thing to do. There's a restaurant here in town that I won't name names, but we stopped going there. I gave them so many chances, but they always fuck up. I'm not kidding you. Their service has always been, it's just gone downhill. I'm not kidding you. They fucked up 4 times. What was it? A chicken sandwich, or what was it? They screwed up the first time.
It was like It was a happy hour thing. It was like chicken sliders.
Chicken sliders.
So 3 tiny little chicken sliders, and they kept putting the aioli shit on it.
Yep. Over and over and over. And there's one time after they kept bringing it to us and dropping it off the plate, and I had to say, hey, you guys did it again. There was one time when I saw the bartender grab the plate, and I think this was the third time.
Yeah.
He looked at it, and then he realized, oh fuck, not. And I could see him. He mouthed it. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
he lifted his
he lifted his head like, God
ugh.
damn it, and he took it back there again. And then when he brought back the fourth plate, and it was finally right. I even mentioned it to him. I said, they screwed it up again, didn't they? Yeah. He's like, yeah. You saw that? And I'm like, yeah, I could tell that was my plate because you looked at it and then you took it back. But it's like, okay, what the fuck is the cook doing back there? Is he not reading? Is he not like paying attention? Is he fucking stoned out of his goddamn mind? Like, it makes me so angry. But this whole tipping thing, to go back to it, your employer should be paying you enough. They should be paying you at the very least minimum wage. If you can't afford to live off of minimum wage alone in that job, you either A, should get another job, find a side hustle, or B, get out of there and go find a job that pays you more that you can afford, like to live off of. But depending on people to pay you by your tips and all that, no, you should never do that. And like I said, I've worked the job. I know what it's like. I know it can be really shitty. I had a guy that used to never tip, and I had a guy that used to always tip me a quarter. But then I had people that tipped me really well. Yeah. And then there was days that I did really well with tips all day or all night. And then there's days that were really slow, like no one came in, so I didn't make shit. So what your responsibility is when you're making money like that, it's no different than a car salesman or someone that works off of a commission. You need to make sure you save that money. Don't go blowing it like an idiot. Save your damn money when the times are good, so that when those times that are slower and not as great, you have that money to help you out. Like, you got to be smart about it, man. And they don't teach this shit in school. That's what pisses me off. Is like, this is something you have to learn with time and whatnot. So I thought that was a hot topic. I got a lot of people that were responding on that, and I could sit here and read all of them, but I don't want to bore everybody with everything. But it's one of those things where I'm also not going to have a certain percentage that I'm going to tip you. If you came over and you helped me, and
if
it was a
above
decent
and beyond, not saying that you have to come check on me every 2 seconds or anything, but if you're, faking it till you make it, like you give a shit that you're there and like can conversate, joke around, like, that type of stuff, check in, not overly, but, more than not, I'm going to tip you well. Like, just doing your job, I'm going to tip you. But if you're coming at me like barely talking, you're barely checking in, the orders are just constantly fucked up, like you're not listening, or I'm not getting my refill, or someone's not getting what they asked for, the ketchup, or like the little condiments and stuff, that should be shit that you're putting out to begin with.
And if you fuck up an order, this is own it and take it off the damn bill. You need to take it off the bill. That should be something that I don't care if it's your fault. I don't care if it's the cook's fault. If you fuck up someone's order, regardless of how small it is, if they asked you not to put something on there and you have to take it back, that should come out of your company or your restaurant or whatever. That should come out of their budget because they fucked it up. And at that point, you've already pissed off the customer. It's very unlikely they're going to want to come back. But if you fix it, they might give you another chance. I'll tell you that right now, especially someone that always gets my food fucked with. If they take it off my bill, I'm more willing to give them a break and be like, okay, I'll come back. But that means every time you fuck it up, you have to you compensate it. And I'm not a person that expects handouts. Mm-hmm. But if you fuck something up, then own it. Be accountable. What
about the other restaurant that brought you the burnt waffle?
Oh my God.
I had an omelet before he had his waffle.
It took them. So I won't mention the restaurant either, but it's a pretty popular one here in town. I used to love going to this restaurant, and we ordered food. And all I ordered was a waffle and bacon and toast. And I think yours was way more complicated.
Yeah, mine was just like a fucking omelet.
And they brought we waited forever. It wasn't even that busy, but we waited forever. And finally, like after like 30 minutes, I think they brought you your meal. And he kept saying, oh, the waffle's coming up, the waffle's coming up, the waffle's coming up. And they brought me my bacon and my toast. So I'm sitting there like watching you while you're eating. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Why wouldn't they just bring it all out together? Like most restaurants will bring out your food together when you're dining in with someone. And, finally, like, I think you might have gotten up to ask him or someone.
No, I was pissed because you were pissed because you were hangry. So you ruined my mood. Because if you've never seen Cody hangry, you should thank God, because don't ever get there. It's not fun.
Not at all.
Not at all. And so it ruined my fucking morning because we were having a great day. It was a nice sunny fucking Oregon day. I don't like springtime, almost summer, whatever. So good fucking mood. They bring out, how do I get a waffle 20 minutes before his, or how do I get an omelet 20, 25 minutes before his waffle? Waffles don't take that long. I make them all the time. And the waffle came out fucking as soon as, and it pissed me off because the server, I knew on his fucking face because I was facing him, not you. And I could tell by his face, he was like, oh, maybe they won't notice. And he sat that down and like walked away real fast. And I looked at that and I'm like, that looks burnt as shit. Like it wasn't black, but it was like super, super. It was very, very brown. And so I think I took my fork and I was like, and it just, and put my fork in it. It was like, and I was so fucking pissed. I stood up. I took it because he was over at the bar at this point. I took it over there. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with this? And for one, I mean, I know a lot of you don't know me. It takes a lot for me to even act like that. I mean, I still was calm. I wasn't like being ridiculous.
I was surprised you got up though. Seriously,
because I was pissed. He fucked my whole day up because then I'm gonna have to deal with you being mad and hungry. And now we gotta go find more food. You're already fucking hangry. Like my morning's fucked. Like, and now your morning's gonna be fucked because my morning's fucked, and I'm the most easygoing fucking person ever.
Damn.
And so I took it right to him, and I'm like, are you? I just looked at him. I'm like, are you fucking serious with this? And I'm like, take this off my bill and bring me the bill now, please. And I walked away. I was pissed. I was fucking shaking. And he came over and was like, ooh, do you want me to remake it? No! Give me the fucking bill!
No, well, did he say that the waffle maker was broken? It's like, why didn't you fucking tell us that when we ordered a waffle?
Well, and I think I said to him, I'm like, you couldn't tell that was burnt to shit? I would rather you have came over and say, hey, we're having an issue. Can we do something else real quick?
Exactly.
But no,
I would have gotten something else. I would have gotten a fucking burger or a pancake or something
Anybody
different.
could tell that waffle was fucked. And he still just tried to set it down and play it off and still charge the fucking $20 or whatever they charge for that bullshit. No, go fuck yourself.
So needless to say, this restaurant, and I'll just say it's in Oregon City, we'll never go there again. You lost 2 loyal customers because you suck. Yeah, they've gone downhill. But with all that said, passionate about that one.
Yeah.
Look at Taz.
Don't ruin my fucking Sunday.
Taz is still happy. He doesn't give a fuck. But with all that said, thank you guys all. Stick around for segment 2 with my guest, Rick. That's coming up next. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the Liquid Shape Podcast. We're in segment 2 here, and today's guest is none other than my buddy here, Rick Horseman the Fourth. Welcome to the show, Rick. How's it going, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing great myself. And I just want to say right now, like, thank you so much for participating in the questions of the week. When you respond, you always have something really good to say. And actually, everyone always does. So I had to throw that out there. But Rick is someone that I've known through the web from just doing the music thing and socializing and whatnot. And actually, I had the pleasure of meeting Rick and his dad when we played in was it Bradley? Is it Bradley, Illinois?
It was not Bradley. It was Joliet, Illinois.
Joliet.
It was the Forge, like right in the heart of downtown Joliet.
Yep, Joliet. That's right. I get some of those cities confused, but
yeah,
we got to meet in person finally. I thought that was really cool. Pito went down there, my brother, and got you, and then we got to take pictures and hang out with you and whatnot, get to know you a little bit.
It was amazing, man. It was like everything coming full circle, just from me being that crazy kid in 7th or 8th grade or whatever it was when I stumbled across your page and heard, I think it was Love Hate Lullaby off of the self-titled.
Oh, that's old school.
Very old school. I heard that. I was hooked and, followed you guys. We just became really tight, and the rest is history, man. Wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah, dude, you've been an awesome supporter, and I dare say even you're a friend now because we met in person and you were really cool. So was your dad, and it's awesome seeing you playing guitar and all that stuff. So go ahead and I'm going to open it up for you to just tell us about yourself. Like let the listeners know about you. How did you get into music, and where did you grow up, and things you're into, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just we'll take it from there, and I'll ask some questions as they come up.
Yes, sir, man. So as the man himself said, my name is Rick Horseman the Fourth. I refer to myself on YouTube as the Human Hate Machine. I am a self-produced guitarist, instrumentalist, whatever you want to call it. Recently kind of ventured into the world of producing my own mixes, just instrumentals for now because I can't sing for shit.
Liar, you had some screams there earlier when we were doing the testing.
It's like I always joke with my my best friend Alex. I always say that my screaming and my vocal style, whenever I do try to practice or do karaoke with my friends, it's like a wannabe Corey Taylor that somehow thinks he can also be Chester Bennington and Lane Staley. If those three guys had a bastard love child.
Dude, those are great influences. So like,
Yes,
keep
sir.
it up. I liked what I heard. It's like you just, like I told you earlier, you'll eventually find your sound. Hell yeah.
Yes, sir, man. And I mean, other than that, like I said, I've been playing guitar for about shoot. I mean, since I was a freshman in high school, that was when I started.
What got you into guitar?
So, I mean, I guess I could start really from the beginning because that's really where it began. Was obviously born and raised here in Illinois. I've always kind of lived not too far from the city of Chicago, kind of bounced around a little bit from the various small towns. Currently, right now, I live about an hour out from the city, so it's perks of going to Cubs games, or if I want to go visit the House of Blues if one of my favorite bands is playing there. But growing up, man, I was always surrounded by music. My mom, obviously, she loves country, you know, and just really whatever is popular on the radio. My dad, he's also big into rock, played a lot of Metallica, and even like some, not so much when I was younger, but as I got older, I started kind of becoming more familiar with the stuff that he grew up listening to, which we can get into that later. But I would say when I was in grade school, like maybe second or third grade, he was picking me up from school, just one of those Fridays, plugged in the little, it's not like a cassette tape. It was like, I don't know what the heck those are called. You might know what it is. Not an 8-track. It was like those little things like where you plug it in. It looks like a cassette tape, but it isn't a cassette tape.
Oh, it goes into the CD player thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep,
that, and then like you just plug it into the aux on your old school iPhone 3 or whatever it was that he had, and he played Click Click Boom from Saliva.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first time hearing something that was very loud and very different than what I grew up with listening into my mom's car, because I was like, you know, familiar with Justin Timberlake and NSYNC and all the boy bands that she liked and whatever was big on country radio. But I just remember hearing that opening riff of Click Click Boom, and I'm like, this is loud and I like it.
Hell yeah, a lot of attitude on that. So on that whole album, that album's kick ass. I remember when they were first coming out.
And the funny thing is with so it actually wasn't from Every 6 Seconds. For whatever reason, that was on the soundtrack for More Fast, More Furious. So that was like the extension soundtrack for the Fast and Furious movie, the very first one. So that had like, I know that had Saliva. You probably had some like a couple of rap songs on there. You probably could have thrown Limp Bizkit on there, but he just had Click Click Boom on it, and I just remember hearing that, and I'm like, this is cool. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what made you, of all the instruments you could have picked up, what got you over to the guitar?
I would say it was growing up in the age of like at the peak of Guitar Hero. There's another funny story. So I remember I came home from school one day and walk into the living room, and I hear like this loud music coming from the basement. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this? And I see a little box in the living room that says Xbox 360 on it. And me and like my third or fourth grade brain, I'm like, what's this, a DVD player? Going downstairs, and it's Guitar Hero, and it's my dad chilling on the couch with a big shit-eating grin on his face, playing some Guitar Hero 3 in the basement. Got an Xbox 360 for it and everything. So
I love it. I had the 360 also. That was a great system.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean the days of Halo, Black Ops.
Ooh,
you really couldn't beat it. But
How old are you?
I'm 23.
23. How in the hell? Like, I always thought like the younger generation, it was so hard to like relate to, but like everything you're saying right now, I'm like, me and this guy are a lot alike. That's crazy. That's so crazy, because that's the music you're talking about, the freaking Xbox 360, the video games, and the movies. I'm a huge Fast and Furious nerd.
Heck yeah, man.
It's great to see. Like, obviously, you have great parents that got you in the right direction, because
stuff. And
shout out to mom and dad for that. That's big shout out to them. Parenting done right.
Appreciate it. But it really was like, I would say like even with the Guitar Hero though, I didn't really pick up on wanting to play the guitar. I just thought this was something cool that me and my brother can do in my off time. And even then, like it really didn't fully get me into like rock and metal, I would say. I would say what really kind of like started pivoting me more towards that was as I got older and the more music I started listening to. Because then at that point, like 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, I started watching YouTube a lot more. And just like watching like whatever videos like were big at the time. It wasn't like as horrendous as it is now with reactionary content and people just basically going on the internet to try and point and laugh at everybody. It was more just a creative outlet for people like the common man to just post a video of whatever art he was doing or find whatever art he liked and then put a heavy track behind it. And I would say what kind of kickstarted it for me was a combination of that and then watching professional wrestling, hearing the heavy theme songs of the wrestlers and
Dude, you're
growing
saying
up.
all the right things. I'm a wrestling nerd too. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm a huge nerd of the Attitude Era from WWF and
Yeah.
WCW Nitro days. I didn't really follow it after like 2001, 2002. Like I don't watch it at all anymore now, but I still watch and nerd out and geek out to all the old school stuff. So I've got like all the Raws and the SmackDowns and
There you go.
Nitros and all that crap. And so I annoy the hell out of my girlfriend constantly playing that stuff in the background.
I don't blame you there, man. Just as long as you guys ain't watching the Mankind and the Rock I Quit match. I recently dug that
brutal.
up.
That's brutal. I watched that when it was happening live. I didn't see it in person,
My
obviously,
God.
but I saw the pay-per-view. A bunch of my buddies and I, we ended up pitching in because I think I was like only like 13, and
Oof.
we used to have these parties where when the pay-per-views would happen, we'd all go to one of the friends' houses and we'd all pitch in money and pay for the paper. The pay-per-views were like $30 back then, which $30 was a lot back then. And so we would get together and I remember we saw that one and the St. Valentine's Day Massacre one, which was the next one with when Big Show made his debut and threw Stone Cold through the cage.
Nice.
And then we saw the WrestleMania, which was Stone Cold and The Rock.
That was WrestleMania 15, I believe.
Yep.
I'm definitely a mark for the business.
Oh, dude, me too, man. Trust me. As soon as you said wrestling, my ears perked up. I'm like, yeah.
Well, it was really because of like a lot of the guys had like the heavier theme songs as their entrance music. And when I got into it, it wasn't because of my mom and dad. It was one of my friends from school at the time. And this was 2008, 2009. So this was like the peak of the hype for Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
I mean, for any kid who was in grade school and got the chance to watch Jeff Hardy live, my first ever SmackDown that I watched was him versus The Undertaker in the main event. I believe it was an Extreme Rules match. I want to say Undertaker won just because it's The Undertaker, but Hardy, man, like I just saw him do his entrance when he came out to No More Words, and really that was what kickstarted me being a giant Jeff Hardy mark. And
did you go to the event or did you watch it on TV?
I did not. No, I went to I actually did not go to the event. The first ever event I went to was Judgment Day 2010, which me and my brother both went to. It was kind of like a Easter present for us. That in the main event for that show, it was Edge versus Jeff Hardy for the WWE title. Hardy lost, so me and my brother went home very upset Jeff Hardy fans. But John Cena won, and that worked out.
Yeah, I've never been able to see a live WWF event I'm old school. I'm still calling it WWF. Never been to a WWE event or WWF event for that matter. And I always wanted to go, but back in the day, they wouldn't come through Portland. There was some sort of thing that was happening here with the government where they wouldn't allow wrestling for some reason. Ugh. So they only started like, I think in the early 2010s, they were able to start coming into Oregon. And by that point, I just wasn't interested. I go sometimes and see like the amateur pro wrestling that we have for Portland and whatnot. I got invited to go to one this last weekend, actually. I was going to go, but some things came up. But I'm still a nerd for wrestling. So when I see it happening, I'm like, I stop and I'll still watch. I just don't follow the new stuff since, like I said, since 2001, 2002.
That's understandable. Yeah. And growing up with that was really part of what I guess in some ways made me as a kid. Talk to anybody who knew me at that age, growing up from grade school to middle school. Like I will always say that I was just this dumb, hyperactive kid who was, again, a gigantic mark for Jeff Hardy. And for whatever reason, also kind of slowly started falling in love with music in general, just because that's what I was always surrounded by as a kid. But it really wasn't until middle school that I really kind of started finding out what I liked from a musical standpoint. I played a lot of video games, as any kid did, and I would say like it was because of Dead Rising, I would say, that kind of made me start falling in love with more alternative metal. So like the Nine Inch Nails kind of stuff, but it was very like smaller artists. It was more or less a lot of like Cell Dweller and Blue Stally that I find myself liking. Which
I remember those, but yeah, dude, that's good stuff there.
And it's a shame, too, because, like, not a whole lot of people, I mean, unless you played those games or you listened to whatever, soundtracks they were on or in whatever compilations they were in on YouTube, nobody really knows a whole lot about Blue Stally or Cell Dweller. And if they do, that's awesome. Like, more power to them. But it was just one of those ones I always liked. I always gravitated more towards the smaller guy, if you know what I mean. But I still really enjoyed a lot of 3 Days Grace, anything off of 1X. I really enjoyed. It was that very grimy kind of snarling guitar tone. That was really what did it in for me, was just hearing that opening riff for Animal I Have Become, that at that age just made me want to get up and just feel ready to kill.
Hell yeah. What kind of guitar do you got? Or what was your first guitar, first of all? What was your first guitar you ever owned?
My first guitar was some dingy, beat up Squier Strat that I bugged the heck out of my dad to buy me. So that was my first electric, actually. I'll go back to my actual first in a second, but it's just some beat up Squier Strat that we found at like a mom and pop shop not far from home, and it was like anything for a typical kid's first guitar. It sounded thin. The high E string, like the tuning peg, was broken, so obviously I couldn't string that up. I don't even think I changed the strings on it for as long as I owned that thing, which only ended up being about 2 months.
Damn.
Of course, they gave you like that little miniature size like practice amp that sounds like a jar of angry wasps when you're playing through it.
With something like that, it's like you're getting this guitar that maybe it's not the best guitar, bottom of the barrel, but if you really, really, really are into playing guitar, it's a good test to see like, all right, I got this. I'm gonna make it work for now, and then once I get better, I'm going to get a better guitar. And otherwise, you could find out then, oh, I'm not really that into the guitar, and then you're not wasting all this money on expensive ass guitars. But once you're in there and actually learning to play songs, were you starting to pick up on tabs? Or were you watching videos on YouTube to learn to play, or how are you learning to pick up on the guitar to take lessons? Or
my actual first guitar was a Fender acoustic, again, that we bought at the same mom and pop shop. And when we moved to a new town, we kind of got out of the old neighborhood that we were living in. My mom got relocated for her job, and when we were doing the whole registration thing, because when we moved out here to where we're at now, when I was in 8th grade, I finished up 8th grade at my old middle school. And when we got like the sheet, it said that like you had to take either like a choir class or an instrument class. And there was no way that anybody was going to force me to try to sing, because no, especially at that age when I had no idea how to sing anyway. And by that point, I was very into a lot of Slipknot, like specifically anything off of the Gray Chapter. And I'm like, well, I'll try to pick up the guitar. And obviously I had no idea going in what they were going to have me learn. But obviously we went to the same joint, bought the acoustic, and just started learning from there. So it was the basic strum and chord song, whatever they had me learn. But deep down, I was trying to learn stuff that my dad liked, stuff that my mom liked on this little acoustic guitar, which I still have it, and it sounds pretty good, but obviously you could use something a little better. But I was primarily teaching myself just through watching YouTube videos. So I would just put up my little iPad, I would just have it on my bed or whatever, and I would just watch guys as they played and be, okay, are they in this tuning? They're hitting, the 5th fret for this chord, or they're barring it, or they're fretting it on whatever. And then I would just watch that, trial and error it for hours, and just go from there.
That's commitment, man. That's what it's all about. Like that's. I always feel that's the best way to learn. That's how I taught myself to play guitar, was on an acoustic guitar. My dad's acoustic guitar, and then eventually I got into electric guitar. But I taught myself tabs back in my younger days when I was 12 and 13, picking up the acoustic guitar. We didn't have YouTube, and videos would take a whole like day of downloading something to get a video. I'm not even kidding you when I say that.
I believe
there was no videos of people playing on the internet. So what I would do is I would go find tabs on the internet, and I would save them, copy and paste them onto like a notepad. Cause back then also we had dial-up internet. We didn't have continuous DSL or high-speed internet.
I remember the old school dial-up sound.
Dude, it was brutal. And so that's how I taught myself. And I feel like it's the best way to learn, because then you're kind of chasing after what you develop your own style. Someone teaches you, you're going to learn the way they do it, their style, and you may pick up some bad habits, who knows, from watching someone else. But at least if you're learning from yourself, you can untrain yourself. And you can untrain yourself from bad habits, period. But
yeah, I
just think it builds character by definitely teaching yourself. And then with having videos out there like that, just makes it that much easier for you to be able to watch someone and just go back and play. I was going to say, you want to save that guitar that your very first one that you had, because that's gonna be a great memory for you to later talk about. Depending on what you do with your music career, that guitar is gonna always mean something to you. I still have my first electric guitar that my mom got me, and it may not be the greatest guitar. It's an Ibanez Axe 120.
Ooh,
I love it, dude. I love Ibanez guitars, and I love Schecters. Those are my two favorites. I have two electric guitars. I have one, the Ibanez, and I have the other one that's a Schecter, and then I have a Ibanez acoustic electric that I use.
Ooh, those are always really good. Yeah,
man. That one needs some work.
As you say, Schecter makes phenomenal guitars. I mean, my senior year, my kind of graduation present was the Schecter Sinister Custom, which there is a lot of mileage on that thing.
Hell yeah.
I mean, there's pick scrapes all over it. Like I'm looking at it right now on my stand behind me as we record this, and I mean, there's parts on the neck that maybe, I guess, like my fingernail marks on it. It's worn in, like a little spot on the body where I probably dented it, banging it into my desk. I mean, that's crazy, man.
What's your favorite tuning to play in?
Freaking A.
It just depends on the mood or what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say it depends on the mood. Me personally, I would say drop C, just because that's from a lot of the music that I grew up listening to. Yep. Again, it really just takes me back to a lot of my middle school days. You know, a lot of 3 Days Grace. Trying to think of some of the other bands I was
gonna say a lot of those bands in that era, like even Mudvayne at one point was playing in C. So it's the C was like the heavier sound back when I was growing up that everyone was kind of doing as a trendy thing, because at first obviously everyone went to D and then eventually C was a heavy one, and now I feel like it's like people are just tuning so low. Like we tuned to B, and mostly B because that's the best like key for me to hit my vocals on certain songs and melodies and whatnot. But people are going all like super low in tuning and whatnot, and it's like, whoa, like sometimes
like drop F sharp, You
can't understand what the guitar's doing sometimes. Like you can't hear the notes.
It's ridiculous. Like, and I remember like I played driving home from work one day. I forget what song we were playing. It had to have been either something from Slaughter to Prevail's Grizzly, or I mean, maybe, or it could have been Diamond Eyes from Deftones. But I remember my dad.
Love that album.
My dad looks at me and he's like, "How are they tuning this low?" And I'm like, "Okay, let me explain this to you. Stephen Carpenter's a mad scientist. He's like 7 and 8 strings, and they tune this low, and then like you hear something like Spirit Box, and I know how you feel about Spirit Box, but like something like that, like they're getting even lower than that." And I'm like, all right, why are we using this? Like it just sounds like a disgusting filter. Like I love Mike Stringer as a guitarist, but I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it to me it doesn't make sense. It's like I want to hear the notes clearly, and I don't know. It just sometimes people take things too far. It's kind of like with drums. Like for me, like if a band is just constantly doing nothing but blast beat, and there's no dynamics in their playing and in the music, I just can't. I mean, it's cool. Like it takes talent to be able to do that kind of stuff, but I just can't. Yeah. I can't listen to all screaming. I can't listen to all double pedal and blast beats. It has to have like a good balance of both. I like singing. I like screaming. I like heavy. I like melodic. I like it. I like a balance of everything.
100%. And I mean, for an example for that, a very underrated song from Mudvayne, in my opinion, who I regret not getting into them sooner. I got into them my junior year of college. I just woke up one day and I'm like, oh, I want to listen to Forget to Remember, and the rest is history.
Great song.
A song from them off of their self-titled Beautiful and Strange. It's actually my warm-up song.
Nice.
I love the chord shapes in that song, because from the perspective of the listener, and I've kind of noticed this more as I've started producing my own tracks, even before I learned it, but from the perspective of the listener, there's just something about the way those chords sound, and they're very kind of just odd. They don't exactly fit right, but they just sound disgusting.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like a certain way. Like, again, it's not like skin crawling, but it just makes you feel like revved up, like you're ready to go. And there's also, like, as the player, there's something just so satisfying about just hitting those chords right, and you just hear it through your headphones as you're playing it. You're feeling it in the mix. There's just something about it, man, that just makes you it really, I mean, it's truly a beautiful feeling.
I love that. Music does that, man. And what's great about music, to me anyways, is like it puts you in a place, like it puts you in a moment and an energy that is indescribable, especially with when you're really into like a band, or you're really into a song or a part of a song.
Yep.
It puts you almost in a trance. And
yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, music is a very personal thing, and the people that get it. Other people, they take it for granted, and they're just like, oh, just it's some background noise, whatever. But for us, that like what you're talking about, that's what music is to me. That's what it means to me, is like those moments that just give you chills and kind of make you zone out and just forget about the outside world. And
I mean, it really made me do that a lot when I was younger, because I mean, growing up in the early, talking about upbringings and whatnot, I mean, I was always, again, like I mentioned earlier, just a crazy kid with all kinds of adrenaline. As I got older, started losing myself more and more into the music, finding my sound, and just almost in some ways finding myself just staring into a haze sometimes during class and just kind of forgetting about how much I hated school that day or how much I didn't like the kid sitting next to me because I didn't like his haircut or something.
Yep.
And it was just something about it that just made me escape, and just finding myself in those bands, and with just the stupidity of kids at the end of the day. I know that probably sounds horrendous from anybody, but it's like anybody when people are growing up. Like, you got to learn to find your way, and you got to learn to see some shit and deal with stupid people doing stupid things, and you just got to find your way and go, all right, let me stay away from this person, or let me try to help this guy out if he's getting bullied or whatever. That's where I kind of, and really in some ways it was because of music that it allowed me to find my personality and just learn to say, hey, lay off of this kid,
Yeah, I love that. That's and that, like you're saying, that age, usually in like when you're in high school, you are learning so much about yourself. You think, like, at least I always thought I knew everything, and I'm going to be set this way. This is how I'm going to be. This is who I'm going to be. This is who I'm going to hang out with. This is who my girlfriend's going to be, whatever. You think you know it all at that age, but you're really just barely building the foundation of who you are going to be.
Yeah.
And music, for sure, like, especially in high school when I was like dealing with all sorts of different, from depression to anger to anxiety and things that emotions I didn't understand. I think most kids at that age, they can say they relate to that. I'm sure you experience some of that stuff too. And you're trying to find out who you are, who you want to be. And then you have the pressures of, like, what college you're going to go to? What are you going to do after high school? Like, you're going to have some kids, you're going to do, like, all this stuff. And it's like, music is one of those things, like, where you can just put, like, the outside world doesn't matter, and you're just in that moment, and it almost kind of shields you from having to deal with that or think about that. It's
right.
kind of like the way I look at it. It's like,
yeah,
in a nerdy way, it's kind of like when you have a shield in a video game, and nothing that's coming at you is going to get through because you have this music, or you have this zone that you're in.
And in some instances, sorry for cutting you off, but it almost gives you like an armor in some instances.
Yes,
like it just
a superpower. It's empowering.
Exactly.
It's empowering, dude. Like, music is, I always tell people, I'm like, music is so empowering. No matter, people often say, like, well, metal's so, it's angry, it's negative. It's like, no, you're looking at it from the wrong lens, or maybe that's the lens you're looking at it from. Not there's a wrong way or right way to look at it, but like, consider it from a different perspective, and you might see that it is very empowering. Like, it can make someone totally feel like they can take over whatever they're facing in their life. And I find it interesting. So about what age were you, or what year was it roughly when you were in high school?
So that was, I'm trying to think, because I graduated in 2020, so I probably started in like 2015.
So there was I find that interesting that you were listening to all these bands from the era much further before you were like before you were actually in high school. So what kind of bands were popular around that? I'm trying to think of the bands that were hitting around that time. So between 2015 and 2020,
it was very much like a lot of like the radio rock, like that everybody kind of rips on. I think the new age term now,
they call
it octane core now, but like at the time, I guarantee you there had to have been like a lot of like your Nickelbacks, or I'm trying to like think, Simple Plan. Maybe.
Which all those bands people call dad rock now, which is crazy.
Yeah, like Theory,
it's so funny.
Theory of a Dead Man's, Five Finger Death Punch, that kind of thing. But for me, like, it was just like a spur of the moment thing where it happened. Where growing up, again, going back to Guitar Hero, growing up playing those games and whatnot, and listening to the bands that were in Guitar Hero, like, one of my first ever songs that I just really fell in love with, of all songs, especially at that age, was Bulls on Parade. And I was like blasting that in my dad's car coming home from school on some days when I was in 4th grade. And I will admit this, like, because it was kind of like odd with the kids that I grew up with, that I was always the one like wearing obviously the WWE t-shirts, but then coming to school wearing Slipknot shirts and Metallica stuff, when everybody else at that time was either A, more than likely listening to Nickelback, or B, listening to whatever slop was being produced on the radio at the time that, like, for whatever reason, I just couldn't get into. Like, I was more into, like, again, Blue Stally, Power Man 5000, and just whatever I was hearing in video games at that point.
Hell yeah. That's cool. Was there a lot of metalheads in that town that you were that you grew up in? Like a lot of like people that liked rock in general, or was it?
Not really. I mean, I had a handful of guys that they would listen. They would kind of dabble in 3 Days Grace, but a lot of my friends that I was tight with, they were more into like your countries and your rap and whatnot. Like my one buddy Jay, I remember he kind of got me into some of the more like aggressive rap elements that were coming out at the time. I remember he was really big into Shell Shocked from the TMNT movie. That was one of his favorites. But I was always just kind of like, you know what, I'll just do my own thing. I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to listen to what everybody else is listening to. I just want to do my own thing. And even then, when I tried to listen to whatever song a buddy of mine or somebody in passing recommended to me, I would try to listen to it, and I just couldn't relate to it. Like, to me, it just sounded like just noise at that point.
I love that. I love that you're not a follower and that you're kind of just doing your own thing, and that's what it's all about, man. Paving your own path and setting your own trail, as I always say.
That's why I enjoyed listening to you guys during middle school, man. Like, and that's where I always remember it, and like I always kind of like to give the proverbial middle finger to those who were like, oh, yeah, who's American Overdose? Because kids are stupid, like I said earlier, and kids will always be just kids and also stupid. But like when I would go into school, I'd have my headphones in and I'd just be, vibing to, Dead Girl on the Dance Floor, or, Trance, because that was way before The Great American Dream came out.
That's
so I didn't
some
really
old school songs of ours.
I would just be vibing out to that. And, you'd have kids who'd be like, oh yeah, he listens to Power Man. He's a whatever. And, yeah, you'd get some shit for it, but I was just kind of like, what's the problem? Like,
I still get shit for it, dude. That's
you gonna hate on our game? Like, come on.
People always like whatever I listen to, like, because the new metal people is cheesy. It's fine, whatever. People think what they want, but then when they show me something that they listen to, I'm like, okay, but you're making fun of me, but you listen to this. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I think it's hilarious, but
yeah.
Music is a personal thing, like we were just talking about, where each person has a reason why they listen to what they listen to, I'm sure, and it means something to them.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny when people critique you for what you listen to. I'm the same though. I'll make fun of a band sometimes, but I try not to.
Time.
I try not to I try not to give too much attention to that anymore. I'm trying to kind of push myself away from that, just because at the end of the day, it's like if someone likes something, what's it my business to tell them that it sucks or whatever. Like,
yeah.
To each their own. Have you been in any bands, or are you just kind of starting to do your own thing right now? As far as, because I know you said you're producing your own instrumental album. Were you ever previously in bands with other kids, or?
I was not, no. So again, I kind of like really started taking guitar more seriously when I was a sophomore in high school. That was when I finally decided, all right, I'm gonna just upgrade from this. I don't want to call it junk, because obviously it's the gear that made me want to become the musician I am today. Me and my best friend Alex, shout out to Day Alex on Twitch. Him and I kind of bounced around the idea of wanting to form our own band, like form our own, cover project, or just do our own songs. But it was just one of those things that, growing up in a town where it was also very like sports heavy and very musically rich, I guess you could say, because the place where I used to work at, they would always have, live bands coming in every weekend. So there was obviously a love for it, but there wasn't exactly a market for the kind of music that I was listening to at the time. And especially, my sophomore and junior year of high school, that was when I started getting really heavy. So that was when I first got into Korn and really dove down the rabbit hole of the late 90s, early 2000s nu metal, because by that point, I think what was popular at the time was the more reactionary content that you would find on like YouTube or Instagram or whatever. Whereas like me and my buddies and kind of clique that I ran with, we were just more into putting our headphones in, walking the hallways, going to our next class, and just sing Iowa and just ignoring everybody.
Oh yeah, that's so cool to hear that like a record like that, for example, is still killing it with the young crowd. Like that is
amazing.
It's amazing to think about, but that just goes to show you that some bands are just timeless. It's like Metallica when you think about it. Metallica is still, like, their albums are still there. People are still blasting them and loving them, and especially for Slipknot. Slipknot's that band that really like hit me hard, because I got to see them like right as they were coming up before they blew up. They were still playing small clubs, and
no way.
Yeah, I got to see them at a small little 1,200 seater. And it was, I don't even know how they fit on that stage. When my band played on that same stage, much later on, I was just standing up there. I'm like, how in the fuck did Slipknot play up here? Like, how did they fit their all their members up on here?
With
'Cause the stage
9
is
guys, yeah.
9 guys. It's like, what? And then they have their crew and all that stuff that they have, their instruments. And it's like,
That's
how the
crazy.
hell did they get up here? But it's so awesome to see. Like, that's another thing where music it's your thing. And I love seeing bands like when you're talking about the underdog. I love seeing bands that go from the underground and then all of a sudden just become, I love it and I hate it. I'm not going to lie. So I still wish that I could see Slipknot be at a level where I could go see them and I might run into them, or I might get really close to the stage. Now, if I see them, they're playing in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people where I'm always in the way back, and chances of meeting them are going to be slim to none.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes me happy because I got to see that band when they were just barely starting out. And I had a feeling in my heart they were going to be massive just because of the impact that they were doing. I remember I was in middle school when I first found out about them. And my friends and I would like dress up in jumpsuits and go to school wearing the jumpsuits and do our hair all weird and
that's awesome.
Paint our nails. And
I had the Liberty spikes, if I had to guess, right?
Dude, yeah. With Liberty spikes, we'd dye our hair weird colors. Back before it was a political statement. I always laugh now because I'm like, well, the metalheads had the blue hair first, and now it's like, now if you have blue hair, it's like you're a certain party or whatever, and it's like,
well, what's wrong with the Liberty spikes? I mean,
no, not the Liberty spikes, the blue hair.
Yeah.
So like the
the
blue hair was like a metal punk rock thing for like the longest time, and now I feel like it's more like a political statement that people are trying to make with it.
Yeah,
and it's not so much like the metal bands that are doing. I mean, there obviously still are some here and there that will do it, but I just remember like people would look at us all weird because like we're wearing these regular jumpsuits to school, and they're like, "What in the hell is this shit?" And like, we're blasting Slipknot nonstop in our Discmans. And I remember when they played Wait and Bleed on Conan O'Brien. That was the first time that I'd ever seen what they looked like, because I didn't know what they looked like.
Right.
I had no idea at that point because I heard about Slipknot through a mix CD that they were on. It was called The Hard and the Heavy.
I feel like I've heard of that, like at some point. Like
it had like Machine Head, CDs. Cold Chamber. Yeah, it was a double disc, and it had like, I remember it had like Machine Head. It had Cold Chamber. It had Puya.
Wouldn't surprise me if Loco was on there. Then
I'm not sure who was all on. Like it had just a shit ton of bands.
Yeah, probably like a lot of the big names from Roadrunner, if I had to guess.
Yep. And so I heard Spit It Out, and I instantly was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And then so I always blast that song, and eventually I got the CD. And I first watched them on Conan O'Brien, and when I saw them on Conan O'Brien, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, because they played Wait and Bleed, and they had their jumpsuits going crazy. Immediately the next day, I went and bought the full length album, the self-titled one.
Did you get it before Purity and Frail and Nursery was removed?
Purity was already removed from it.
Damn.
Yeah, but
man, that one always messed with my head as a kid. I say as a kid, but
a couple months later, they came through town, and my first concert was Slipknot, Mudvayne, and 1 Minute Silence. And Mudvayne didn't even have LD50 out yet. But that was Mudvayne's first U.S. tour that they were doing.
Ooh.
And that was really cool because I had heard of Mudvayne through the Napster days. I downloaded Dig, and I want to say Internal Primates and Death Blooms.
Nice. They had Internal Primates. That's a good one.
And it was the demo of it. Once I saw Mudvayne, I was like, holy shit. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, who is this band? I need to follow.
That was very much like me, too. Because especially like growing up with like a lot of the Blue Stally and, Cell Dweller and 3 Days Grace. I mean, and even Jeff Hardy's own music that he was coming out with at the time, because he did his own entrance music. I knew who the artists were. Like, I could put a name to a face. Like, I could go on Google, type in Cell Dweller, and I would see Clayton's picture, and I would go, okay, yep, that's Cell Dweller. With Slipknot, there was, of course, that mystery. And then, because when I got into them, it was, I think the Great Chapter had already come out. But I didn't like really fully get into them at the time. Like, I knew about Before I Forget, and then I'm trying to think of what else. Psychosocial was in one of the Guitar Hero games. But then when I heard The Devil and I, it was actually from a video that you posted when you were in the Knotfest video. I heard the chorus riff, and I'm like, oh, this is sick. And then at that point, like, that was pretty much like right then when I found the music that spoke to me the most.
Oh yeah, that was the Knotfest that they did in 2014 when it was the first time Jay and V-Man were that was their first performance they did. So they played 2 nights, and the first night I think they played a mix of things, and then the second night they did a whole different set, but they played a couple of the songs that they played from the previous night, and it was It was so badass. Like I can't even
Mhm.
put into words how cool that was. Like I've seen Slipknot a number of years now, but there was something in the air that night that festival, I should say, that really stood out to me. And I think it was because they had been gone for a while and they were
Yeah.
coming back with a new energy and a new life to them. And so, badass to see Slipknot at that festival. So back to you playing music. So you you haven't played any bands that you've had put together. What made you decide? All right, I'm gonna start a solo project. And do you have a name of the project?
It's just under my name. This is Rick Horseman the Fourth. Me and a handful of my friends, we kind of bounced around different projects, and then obviously we kind of just ended up falling out. At one point, we had a project together. It was just me and a couple of kids I knew from high school called Significant Other, where we didn't produce anything. It was primarily going to be a Limp Bizkit based cover band, and maybe we'd throw in some like Seven Dust or whatever. But obviously I would be the guitarist because at that point in time it was my junior year and I was really big into Limp Bizkit. I was really big into the sonic experimentation that Wes was doing, and also just his stage makeup it's just a work of art in of itself.
Limp Bizkit's the shit. I love those guys. I got to see them for the first time a couple, was it last year?
Ooh,
and
you got to see him with Sam before he sadly passed away.
Yeah, and they did not disappoint at all. I was just like, oh, it took me so many years to finally get to see you guys, because I had flown out to the Blue Ridge Rock Fest a couple years ago, and it was they canceled because I won't even go into details about that festival, but
I got you. Wasn't that like a huge headache and a half? If I recall,
it was. I think they had lawsuits and all sorts of stuff. I won't go too far into that, but if anyone Googles the Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2023, sorry, you can find and read all about that craziness that happened there. So you were jamming with some friends, and then finally you were just like, I'm ready to do my own thing.
It really wasn't a combination of that. Obviously, as time goes on and people just kind of find their own things, they find their own niche in life, the project just kind of faded out. And I mean, even then at the time, like we were just a bunch of kids just jamming, basically pretty much like over like FaceTime calls at that point. And all of us were just like get together, poorly record our instruments, and then just throw them together in whatever program my buddy had. And it was just a combination of that. And even then, at that time, I was like looking at my setup, which was like a very makeshift pedal board. And I was just kind of like thinking in my head, like something about this just ain't working. So then you go back to that, basically just go back to I start doing my own thing. And this was way before I had my own professional setup or anything, where I got my own microphone and started miking up my amp cabinet to fully produce covers, because by that point I was just setting up my phone just on my bed with a Bluetooth speaker in the background, just playing to the songs live like you would on if you were a stage. So then I would obviously be manually switching pedals. Like, for example, let's use Nookie, for example. I would obviously be switching from the clean channel then to go into the high gain distorted tones. I would just be doing that all manually on the fly, and you flub a take, stop the camera, reset the song, go again. So that was just kind of my thing, and I would just do it not only for myself, but also like for my friends and family to see, hey, here's what I'm doing while the world goes insane due to COVID and whatnot. And that was obviously what kept me sane during COVID as well, was just playing music. But it was really recently, actually, where I kind of just got the idea after a couple of my friends that I bowl with, they had suggested to me, hey, we saw your cover of Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson. In my opinion, the best Christmas song of all time.
Yeah.
Not named All I Want for Christmas Is You. Sorry, Mom. I came home from work one day and I was just like, I want to write a metal riff over this. So I literally just put my headphones on, fired up whatever plugin I was using at the time, and I just started playing. And I just thought to myself, okay, this sounds good. Let me go back and do this. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I think I got something going here. So then at that point, and this is when I had already figured out the basics of home recording at the time, I'm like, this might actually be something that I can roll with. And I had already started putting YouTube videos up at the time once I was kind of getting the basic gist of home recording. Like, obviously, anybody who starts out, their tones are going to sound like very either bass heavy or very brittle. So it was just a lot of just trial and error before I finally realized a couple months ago where I'm like, okay, I think I'm finally at a point where I've watched enough videos. I've listened to enough advice from guys, like Josh Middleton of Stylosis and Glenn Fricker from Spectre Sound Studios. Let me try to get some plugins and see what I can do. and the rest is history.
I love that. That's what you got to do, man. And you know what? You're a very wise young man. I'll say that because
I appreciate you, man.
Starting your own project, especially at your age, at a young age, is very smart because here's the thing: you're gonna write the music, you're gonna get to build it how you want it. If things don't work out with other members and whatnot, you can keep going on with the name, with what you're doing, with your songs and all that kind of stuff, and you don't have to start from scratch. Because as someone that's came from playing the game of playing in bands with folks that already had established bands or people that, where we all came together first and just kind of threw ideas, and then it not working out because people, like you said, people change and their priorities change and they may not want to take it as serious as you do, or they just want to be weekend warriors or whatever the case may be. That happens a lot, man. It's crazy. To each their own. When I decided I was going to do music, I knew that it's going to be full volume because no matter how bad I want it, I know that there's a million other people out there that want it just as bad, if not more. And you gotta fight for it. You gotta work very hard for it. And it's very discouraging when you have a band, you put all your eggs in one basket and then it falls apart because of people's attitudes or people's egos or whatnot. But you starting your own band, you can work at your own pace. You can not have to worry about starting from scratch. Then you're going to learn a lot because I'm sure right now you're learning because you're doing all the recordings within your own setup there.
Yes, sir. So it's basic. So I use plugins for my bass and drum tracks because again, I do all instrumentals. Just a covers guy right now because I gotta try to find my own way. I mean, I can't read music to save my life. I can read tabs, but
I was gonna say you don't need to know to read music to write your own stuff. I mean, I'm sure you know this. If you're playing a riff of, let's say you're playing a 3 Days Grace riff. A lot of musicians, what they do is they'll play along to a song, and then next thing you know, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna mess with these notes," and then they start writing their own stuff from there, and then they come up with their own stuff. That's
pretty
always
much
how
what I'm doing.
That's what you got to do, man. That's smart.
I mean,
and the cool thing is, I was gonna say, it may be instrumental now, but here's the good thing: with you having your own setup and you having your own recordings, if you want to experiment with vocals, you can put all the vocals you want. No one ever has to hear it. You don't have to worry about someone else hearing it. And then until you're proud of it, until you're like, you know what, I developed something that sounds good, or you can test it out with some of your close family members or friends that you have that you trust that will listen to it and give you some feedback. But that's the cool thing is that you have now your own setup where you're able to do that, and you're going to be able to practice if you want to do your own vocals.
Definitely.
And to do that to your own music.
And the biggest thing for me and what I enjoy doing, being primarily a covers guy, because I forgot to probably go more in depth on this. My buddy's from bowling, like I mentioned earlier. One buddy, his name's Drew. He's a fantastic bowler and an even better human being. So I'm probably more likely to send him this. He sent me a couple of songs and he's like, hey, try to throw some metal riffs over these and see what you come up with. And those songs in question were Speechless by Dan and Shay and Eyes on You by Chase Rice. And obviously those have his own meaning for him. But so what I would do is, for Speechless in this case, I just picked up a guitar, just any guitar, and I'm like, all right, let's see what I can come up with. So I just fired up a plugin, played a song, and I just kind of just noodled around a little bit. And I found that the best way for me to write, especially writing, over something somebody else originally made, but making it heavier, you have to just trial and error it until you eventually find something that sticks and it sounds like you. And what I noticed was that I almost felt like my guitar kind of acted as more like a synth in some ways, that it would like mimic the vocals kind of. So like in the chorus for Speechless, it's like, I'm speechless. I would do a descending line where it's just like a bunch of bends. And obviously in the full context of a mix with guitars panned full left and right, it gives it this kind of, not really like a drunken stumble, but again, going back to the grime feeling, there's just something about it. Like it kind of like gets under your skin and it's like, oh yeah, this song like feels like, granted, while it's like a very happy song, it still kind of has that like dirty feeling,
Yeah, I like that. No, that's a smart way to do it. That's a smart way to just kind of mess with it and not limit yourself to doing certain things. So it sounds like you're experimenting and you're trying different things, and that's important as a musician to do that, because I always tell people, like, 'cause people are always like, some musicians, they limit themselves and they're like, well, I have to play all technical because I want to make sure that if I play in front of other musicians, they're going to respect me and they're going to think this and that. And I'm like, those musicians aren't going to buy your music, bro. Like, they're worried about their own music. They don't care. They may critique you if they do, whatever.
They're going to listen to their stuff going to listen to their stuff in the context of how they would do it, like, and how they would produce it. Like, and it's just like, come on.
And you got to play for the majority of the audience, not for the musicians, because the musicians are not going to buy your music. Don't worry about them. Worry about what sounds good to you, what sounds good. The great thing, I don't know if you do this or not, I'm sure you do, but the great thing about having your own recording setup is that you're able to record things. And let's say you just like hit a wall and you're like, you know what, I'm done for now. You can walk away from it. You can listen to it on your break at work. You can listen on the car drive to go run some errands or whatnot. And you can pick it apart and you can listen to it and live with it for a few days. And then you come back to it. Yeah. And then you come back to it and you're like, you know what? I know after listening to it a few days, I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what I need to experiment with, and then go back in there and you can record it. That's the cool thing about having your own setup at home. Like I love being able to record from home. Once I got my own little recording setup here, it made things so much easier. To be able to just come up with ideas and be ready
grind, just hit the books and just start going.
How many, I was going to ask, how many tracks are you planning on doing on the solo album?
Ooh, so currently I have 11 planned, but I have like 4 backups just in case that for whatever reason, if I play it in the context of the mix and then I just don't like the way it sounds, like whether this drum plugin sounds good or, this one doesn't sound as good. Sometimes like I'll just say, yeah, you know what, whatever. And I'll put it off to the side. Maybe I'll work on it later. Maybe I'll use it for another, maybe like an EP or whatever. But right now I've got 10 of the 11 tracks finished. It's just a matter of I have to kind of finalize how I want the bass to sit for this next track.
I love it. You, so what style of music would you like? What kind of style of instrumental would you say that it fits under?
So with the covers that I'm doing on this one, because it's a combination of big name songs that people know. Two of the songs, or 3, I guess, because I got one coming out on Friday, a cover of Seether's Failure off of Sevis Possum Parabellum. It's a kind of a combination of, just mostly rock and metal. Just a lot of the songs that I don't want to say grew up on. Well, it's partially of what I grew up on, but also songs that shaped the way that I look at guitar and the way that I look at mixes. So it's really just a combination of hard rock and heavy metal. But down the line, I would like to try to branch out and do covers of some pop songs. So like really challenge myself. I actually have a mix of No Scrubs by TLC. That's kind of a side thing that I'm working on. I did a guitar cover for that, just threw a guitar track right in front of it, and just said, hey, why not? Let me just send this to a couple of my buddies, see if it makes them laugh. And they're like, Rick, why in the hell did you write a sludge metal riff to No Scrubs? And I'm like, because I felt like it.
Yeah, dude. I like that you challenge yourself and that you're trying to do different things, and you're building your own. You're building it builds character, and you're putting your twist on these songs that it sounds like you're putting together, and it sounds like you said, you're adding your personality to these, with the mixes and all that stuff, and you're going to learn a lot from it. I can't wait to hear them. Make sure, and whatever links that you want to have, we'll make sure and have them in the show description so that people can follow you and can check it out, and your Spotify's and all that stuff. So I love that you're doing that, man. That's really cool to see that you're it sounds like you're excited about it. And it sounds like you're doing you, and that's what's important. I think I always tell people, I'm like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just focus on what you're doing, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day, because you
put my best foot forward and just doing, whatever I can. And it's very funny, like listening to those songs in context, because obviously I just do it with the original track kind of just panned down a little bit. It's just kind of like odd. Like I remember I sent the finalized version of just this basic guitar cover of, If No Scrubs Was Metal to a female friend of mine. And she's like, can you just imagine like having like the same vocals from, Left Eye, frickin' A, it's going to drive me nuts if I forget the names of the names of the members. T-Boz, and I got T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili, I think. Yep. Yeah. And just imagine like hearing their vocals going in the background to a sludge riff as they talk about, I don't want no scrubs.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of apps now that you can download you could just pull out the vocals and put them on over your instrumental to see what that sounds like. And you might even be able to mess with the vocal to make it sound like in a different pitch, or add some reverb or something. I don't know. You can get creative with it, I'm sure, that which is pretty cool with what you're doing there.
There's something about that, doing that though, and then like having the desire to publish it that just doesn't sit right with me. It kind of just goes back to the whole AI thing that everybody's been talking about with people using like Chester Bennington, like an AI rendition of Chester Bennington to make whatever. Like of him covering a Slipknot song. And obviously there is that whole AI debate. Like I'll just admit it, I use AI to make my album art because I can't draw and I'm just too lazy to try to find somebody who can replicate the ideas in my head to physical artwork. So that's the thing with that. I'm like, it's like, you know what I mean?
It's like we were mentioning earlier. It's the world that we're in now, and it's like you can either adapt or you're gonna adapt. I mean that there's a lot of people that are just so angry because they know that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I mentioned earlier. Can you imagine if the people that were paranoid about the internet, if they would have tried to stop it, like the internet came and it's done so much for us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great things, some bad things, obviously, with any technology, with any kind of things, there's going to be some consequences and all that. But, as humans, we'll adapt with it.
In today's day and age, where it's like going back to the whole thing of people giving anybody really grief as a kid. Obviously, I was growing up in that, like, obviously that stage where it was like Instagram was starting to become more popular, and you'd have the occasional schmucks like commenting on not my post, but I saw it sometimes on mine, sometimes on somebody else's, where it's like they'd be ripping somebody for like their haircut, or they'd reference something embarrassing that happened to them during school. And it's like, with how deranged and how powerful the internet is now, it's like, come on, man, just use your brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that's one thing that's very different about you and I, our generation difference, is that we didn't really have, I mean, we had the internet, but it wasn't like we didn't have social media, and we didn't have, like, if there was bullies out there, if you had conflict with someone, after school, you didn't have to really face it. You just went and did your own thing. You hung out with your own people.
Yeah.
But nowadays, and especially like with your generation, there's that whole, you can't escape it, because then the bullies will find you, or the people that don't like you go on there, and then they start tearing you apart on social media. It sounds like you saw that happening with around you when you were in high school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, around that, like, I mean, high school, it wasn't as bad because the people that I went to high school with weren't completely insane. And going kind of back to the whole thing of music kind of shaping my worldview, like I saw like a lot of just kids just being dickheads in middle school, just dickheads to each other in middle school. And then it wasn't like it really like reinforced my belief that humanity sucks, because that's obviously not my belief now. But I saw just a lot of stuff of kids just finding an excuse, whether it was like in person or on social media, just to find an excuse to be a dick. There was one story that I always tell people that just really stuck with me when I stuck up for someone, was some group of kids, they were heckling this kid in the library when I was in middle school, like in 7th grade or whatever. And not only would they heckle him in the library sometimes, like just out of deranged boredom, they would go under this kid's Instagram or whatever and just kind of poke and prod him, trying to poke the hornet's nest, essentially, right? And I eventually got tired of it, so I went up to this one kid who I'd had beef with, and I'm like, "Yo, lay off." And he's like, "Whoa, what are you gonna do, Rick?" Typical poor man's bravado, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I just took a page out of my dad's book. I'm like, "You want to find out?" And there's just silence. Bell rings. These kids just bolt. And so I'm like, all right, well, there you go. And you're going to get a kick out of this. Obviously, I told Teach or whoever, I'm like, the kid in general kind of wasn't exactly playing with a full deck, per se. But he was a good kid, very book smart. Kid was a genius.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yo, like, so-and-so is like giving this kid grief. Let's kind of like, I just want to let you know that I kind of told these kids to fuck off. Obviously, I didn't say that. But then using kind of my music brain and just kind of like letting sleeping dogs lie, just let it chill for a minute. I didn't tell nobody anything. Wouldn't you know, a day later, these kids are going around like, who ratted us out? They look at me and they're like, Rick, did you say anything? Say anything about what? And they had nothing. And then my one buddy looks at me and he's like, you said something, didn't you? Yeah. Like, I learned from the best, man. Like, not only did I learn from my dad, who is a master of psychological warfare, I learned from the music I listen to.
I love that.
Don't fuck with anybody else, and don't poke the sleeping giant.
Yeah, no. And sometimes people, there's going to be those people that do, and that's the way they learn. They have to learn the hard way, unfortunately. I was also going to say, like, with your generation, also you guys have the whole thing of, everything you do, everything you say is documented, online, and it's on video, and we didn't have any of that. So that had to be really, really hard. To be a kid nowadays, it's got to be really hard because you can't do the things that we did when I was younger where, we could skip school. Now, like, your parents get an email right away, I'm sure, and like they get a notification.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they'd try to do a phone call. I think they called once or twice a day. If mom's at work, I get home like right when school's done, I go straight home and I can erase the message from the phone.
Dirty deeds, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like we got away with a lot of stuff back then that nowadays definitely would not fly, which is I'm thankful that I was in that generation, but at the same time it's like I wonder what I would have been like if I would have grown up in this era. Who knows? I'd probably be in a lot of shit.
That's where I always worry about the next generation. It's an in-joke with me and my brother. Like, we just kind of like, we'll just be sitting around, whether we're like, grabbing a bite to eat, or if we're even at like the bowling alley and just watching, people now. It's like, and it doesn't have to be kids or whoever. It's just anybody, just because everybody's got like a little cell phone on them. Some knucklehead at the bowling alley could be drunk at the bar and, babbling gibberish, and somebody will be filming it, and then they'll post it on social media and say, hey, look at this guy at so-and-so at this place acting like a nuthead. And it's just like, everybody's got a digital footprint now. And it's truth be told, like, when you think about it, it's jacked up how good the technology is now. But at the end of the day, it's like anything, man. You got to keep eyes going in the back of your head.
Yep. You got to be careful of what you say and what you do. That's another thing I was going to bring up is that I did notice that you do, I see you posting bowling a lot. So do you do that pro style, or what is it with bowling? And are you on a league, or are you doing it for fun, or what?
Yep. So I'm on a league. I have been a league bowler since 2020, so since I graduated high school. But I started bowling competitively when I was a sophomore, and that was just kind of a thing that me and my family all talked about. Like, I wanted to play baseball when I was in high school. Obviously, I grew up a very athletic kid. My dad played basketball in high school and college. My mom was a volleyball player. But me personally, I didn't have the endurance for basketball. And then baseball, when you go cold turkey for a couple years and then try to join the high school team, it's kind of hard to join the team. Bowling was the next best thing because my dad had been bowling in leagues with a lot of his friends over the years. My grandfather is also a league bowler. So me and my brother just kind of said, hey, let's give this a whirl. So it's just been a lot of trial and error for us. And my younger brother, Dale, he's a very dangerous competitive bowler. He's much better than me. Obviously, I consider myself a house hack, which means I'm only good on house patterns. My brother, he bowls collegiately at the highest level, and he is a living weapon, that kid.
Hell yeah. What let's see, like, what's your best score that you've pulled off?
My best score is a 280. So for you kids at home, that is basically strike in the first frame, air in the second frame, and then you strike out all the way. So it's basically, my dad's favorite joke is that it should be a 300, but it's not a 300.
I love that. I love bowling. You'd kick my ass, I'm sure. There's no doubt. I suck at it. Like, for me, it's like one of those, like, if we go bowling, I'll bowl, and my girlfriend, for whatever reason, she's really good at it, and she just gets better and better every game, and I get so, like, frustrated. I'm like, God damn it.
Does she just like take a 6-pound ball and just piss missile it
she
right up the second
throws it
arrow?
And it goes, and it's like she just does it amazing all the time, and it's I'm like, what in the hell? She's good at it, and it's whatever. So we'll do it. But I'm one of those guys that I have to do something for a while, especially that if I don't do it all the time before I start getting good. So as the games go, I usually will get better, but then sometimes I get inside my head, I think my own head, and I'm like, I start sucking even more.
That's the big thing with a lot of bowlers. That happens to everybody.
I was gonna say, have you seen The Big Lebowski, and have you seen what's that other one?
I know which one you're referring to.
Kingpin.
Yeah, I've seen both of them. Those are phenomenal.
Which one's better to you?
Freaking A.
Those are two of my favorite movies. So
it's a tough ask. I haven't seen either one in a minute, but I'll get back to you on that.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say, I constantly reference movie lines from The Big Lebowski. That's just one of my... there was a point in time when I first saw that movie, like way back when it first came out. I'm not kidding you. I watched it once a day for a whole month. Like I was annoying everybody around me because I was so hooked on that movie, and just I'd laugh with Walter, I'd laugh with Donnie, him tell Donnie to shut the fuck up, and just
over the line, right?
Over the line, yeah. And the Big Lebowski with the dude with his White Russians, and that movie is just, to me, it's a classic. Kingpin,
timeless,
of course, also another great movie. Like lots of laughs on that one.
Yep. You'll still get people who are walking. You'll get people who walk over the line, like even in league or whatever. Like some knucklehead will, scrape their foot over the foul line, and sometimes it'll be obvious. Sometimes it's an accident, but it's like a guy will like stand there at the approach after he throws a ball, and he'll be like looking down at his foot, like, did I cross over or did I not cross over? And then everybody in the back is just kind of standing there looking at each other, like basically just throwing their hands up in the air. And they're like, well, I don't know, foul light said you went off, but if the guy is like 2 feet behind the foul line and then the light goes off, then everybody's like, all right, clear it, give him a 8 count or whatever, and let's start again.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we are a little over an hour, which is fine with me. Is there anything else you want to talk about, you want to plug, you want to let people know about?
Is there anything like that? I guess I could just plug my stuff. So I guess I might as well get it out now. Obviously, I released Failure this coming Friday as of recording this. February 6th, obviously, my new single, Failure, cover of Seether's Failure, dropped, and I might as well just let the cat out of the bag now. Coming soon, my first ever instrumental covers album, Voiceless, will be coming out either sometime at the end of February or maybe early March. 11 tracks of my favorite songs. Finally got my foot in the door, and I'm very excited to finally put my own spin on my favorite songs out into the world.
That's awesome, man. I'm very proud of you as a friend. I can say right now I'm very proud of you, and I want to keep encouraging you to keep pushing forward, keep recording, keep doing your thing, and keep growing within music. I can sense the passion in you, and I love that.
Same to you, man.
Everyone out there, please go follow Rick. I'm going to have all the links on the description of the podcast, and you can follow him on social media as he provides access to, and his Spotify and everywhere you can find him with music. Thank you so much for being on here, man.
Thank you for having me, brother. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Everyone else, you have a great day. And that is the end of segment number 2 with my guest, Rick Horstmann. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening to that. That was a great conversation him and I had. And then that was some fun we had on segment number 1 as well, especially towards the end when Mariah was getting all heated. But I want to thank you guys all for checking in and checking out the podcast. Shout out to my 2 monetary subscribers, King John and Eric Sheets. Thank you guys so much. We're making our own effects here. For anyone else that is out there that wants to contribute, you can contribute money-wise. It costs money to make this podcast. If you look, there is an option there to support the show. Otherwise, you can hit me up and ask me how you can do it. No amount is too little. Anything helps because it does. There's a monthly charge that we have to pay for upkeeping the equipment that we use for the podcast and for editing and all that. And then, of course, to upload these episodes, they do charge money for that as well. So appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys out there that listen to the podcast. I appreciate all you guys out there that contribute to the question of the week and that spread the word about this. Again, this podcast is the podcast for the people, and I love to hear from you guys. And I really do hope that this is helping people out there look at things in a different perspective. Hopefully it gives you guys hope for anybody that's dealing with some of the issues that we talk about through the podcast and through the guests. And I love you all. I'm going to be heading out to Reno, and it's going to be a blast. Yeah. Check out American Overdose.
Let's end it Andrew style. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Shout out to my buddy Andrew, who will hopefully be a guest on this. And look at Taz, he's all excited. Thank you, everybody. Have a great kick-ass week.
Be safe and love everybody.
Be sure to find us on all social media platforms, follow and subscribe.